Welcome back, Devils fans, and the New Jersey Devils have went to Toronto and defeated the Maple Leafs by a score of 6-5. You already know what time it is, folks. Cheers to my Devils fans. Win or lose, we booze. And in game 80 of the season for the New Jersey Devils, with nothing to play for other than pride and potentially individual statistics, the boys go to Canada and win a crazy one that pretty much lacked any sort of solid defense or NHL goaltending. A complete shootout, sloppy game by both teams. And before I get into scoring and everything else, I will be the first to say this Toronto Maple Leafs team is going absolutely nowhere. They remind me so much of the Devils, it's not even funny. There might be a slightly better version, as of right now. But basically, speedy transition team, tons of offensive skill, and a lot to be desired in the defensive end. And the parallels are scary, honestly. But the way they play, if they keep this up in the playoffs, they might get bounced in the first round. Maybe they'll win a round, but there's just no way to. I'd be shocked if they could win 2 rounds. The way they play is just creepily similar to the Devils to me, and they want to go run and gun, and they could be caught. And so, I'm sorry to Toronto fans, but unfortunately, I don't think your team is going anywhere anytime soon. With that being said, let's get into it. A couple themes from the season continued on in this game. One of them being the Devils to give up the first goal. That was no different tonight. And at 18 seconds, John Marino with a terrible mishandle near center ice. I think he tried to glove it down and put it whatever. He gets stripped. Mitch Marner takes it in, feeds Tavares, and he puts one in at the 18-second mark. And it's just like, oh, my God. I just sat down to, settle in for this thing. 18 seconds in, we're down 1-0 on a John Tavares goal. But the lead was not for long. Not for long whatsoever. At 39 seconds, Eric Halla ties it at 1. The Devils making it hard on Toronto deep in their own end. Tierney takes a shot. The puck's kind of loose in front. They can't clear the rebound, and Halla finds it, fires it home. Game tied 1-1 at 39 seconds. And at that point, I said, oh, boy, are we going to be in for one of these type of nights? A little back-and-forth pond hockey type action. I didn't anticipate 6-5. I thought they would have tightened up at some point. But they didn't too much. Halla ties it up at 1 at 39 seconds. And then at 6:08, Auston Matthews scores his 67th. This kid is something else. Story of the season, the Devils can't clear. Toronto keeps it in. Max Domi finds him. And Matthews just rips it in for his 67th, giving them the 2-1 lead at 6:08. And that lead was short-lived for them because at 7:57, Nolan Foote gets his first of the year. And this looked reminiscent of a Devils-type play to me. Giordano's behind the net, and I don't know if it was an attempted pass or a clearing attempt, but he's behind the net, and he fires it up. It goes right to Foote. Foote grabs it, does a little deke, beautiful move, and finishes on the backhand, tying the game at 2. A few minutes later, Devils on the power play, whipping it around, and at 12:37,
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
Timo Meier, ladies and gentlemen. Timo Meier. Devils on the power play, snapping it around. Bratt puts it right in the wheelhouse, and Timo blasts it into the back of the net. As we all now know, Timo is deadly on the power play. He's deadly on the right side. He could beat you with that one-timer. He could beat you down low, getting down and dirty. He does it all, and he's here for 7 more years, folks. Embrace Mr. Timo Meier, his 26th at 12:37 on the power play, giving the Devils the 3-2 lead. And that is how we end the first period. Devils going into the second, up 3-2. And at 7:59, Auston Matthews strikes again for his mind-blowing 68th goal of the season. Toronto enters the zone. Pass gets deflected. They get possession back. Domi has a little time and space. He puts it right on the tape of Auston Matthews in front while Jonas Siegenthaler just kind of looks at him in amazement like a deer in headlights. Matthews deflects it in for his 68th at 7:59, tying the game at 3. And at that point, I kind of got more fired up than I should, being that it's a meaningless game. But plays like that absolutely kill me. When you have one of the best players in the world standing in front of the net and you're playing defense and you're right there next to him, tie up his stick, do anything. Do anything. Put a body on him. Just do something. Siegenthaler just kind of lost out there, and Matthews ties the game. And then a little less than a minute and a half later, at 9:16, David Kampf gives Toronto the 4-3 lead. Nyes enters the zone. Smith is all over him. He does a couple fancy moves to shake him. He keeps the puck. Then Smith absolutely hammers Nyes. The puck's loose. Devils can't clear. Toronto gets it in front of the net, and Kampf just finishes in tight. Nice goal for the Leafs. They take the 4-3 lead, and then it just looks like the same old script of, another Devils blown lead. We've seen this movie plenty of times, and way more times than I want to count in the past 2 weeks alone. But Toronto with the 4-3 lead at 9:16, and then a short while after that, Max Domi goes at Shimo Nemec and fights him for basically nothing. I mean, Nemec was tied up with Auston Matthews a little bit. They were a little jostling back and forth, but Nemec is not some type of tough guy that was picking on their superstar. Like, it was a pretty much standard nothing hockey play. And then for whatever reason, Max Domi comes over and fights Nemec. And poor Nemec, I mean, that is a mismatch of all mismatches. Luckily, he didn't get beat up too bad, but he clearly lost the fight. Nemec has no idea what to do. He's just like, trying not to get killed. And to me, Max Domi's a piece of shit, just like his father for that. If you guys don't know, Max Domi's father also played for the Maple Leafs. Ty Domi played for the Rangers and the Jets as well, but he's probably remembered most for his time with the Leafs. The Devils had some famous incidents with him that I'll talk about, in a separate video at some point on the channel. But if you're not familiar, look up Ty Domi. NHL enforcer, tough guy, fought all the big names of the 90s. Ty Domi, but this is his kid. They're both pieces of shit. And after that, I wanted Brendan Smith to go beat up on Marner, or at least McDermott to go pound Domi. I wanted some sort of retribution. And, when you have a mismatch like that, a guy like Domi that can fight and has fought before, Nemec's never fought in his life. And, it just seems like a thug type of thing to do, to fight a guy that's, has no business fighting. And I would have liked to see the Devils get some sort of retribution, but in true fashion, the New Jersey Devils did absolutely nothing. And it seems as though the display of balls that we showed as a team in that Ranger game at the Garden with the whole McDermott, Rempe, and the line brawl, it just seemed like that was a fleeting moment in time. We saw a little glimpse of it, and you're like, oh, maybe this team does have a backbone. Maybe they aren't spineless cowards. Maybe they do have some balls when everyone fought. But back to our old ways tonight. No one does shit. Nothing happens. Completely disappointing. I wanted to see somebody either take out a Maple Leaf skill guy or McDermott to thump, or even Brendan Smith to thump Domi for that, but nothing happened. But it is what it is. And that's it. So score remains 4-3. And on a late power play in the second period at 19:48, Devils win a clean face-off. A beautiful clean face-off. And then
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
Timo Meier. Timo Meier does it again on the power play. I'm having technical difficulties. Timo Meier does it on the power play for his 27th at 19:48, tying the game at 4. Clean face-off win. Timo just rips it right into the back of the net. Is this guy going to hit 30? I mean, it seems like he's really trying to, to even finish. If he just finished with 27 that he has now, that would be phenomenal given where he was a couple months back. And it's been quite the resurgence on the right side, on the power play. We already all know. We've talked about this in depth on the channel. But if you are one of those that hated on Timo earlier in the year and you have not yet, deposited your apologies, please, there's still time for Timo Meier. Deposit your apologies in the comments. Timo with his 27th. Second period ends tied up at 4, and we head to the third period. And at 11:03, on the power play again, the boys moving it around well, nice crisp passing, and Jesper Bratt just rips one from a little bit farther out than I used to seeing from him. Not too crazy, but Jesper Bratt, his 26th on the power play at 11:03, giving the Devils the 5-4 lead. And in true Devils fashion, it wasn't over yet. At 15:13, Tavares ties it up at 5. Leafs enter the zone. JT right out in front, gets hit with a pass, buries it at 15-13, all tied up at 5. And at this point, I'm thinking we're going to see probably a brutal overtime loss. I mean, I'm kind of numb to it now. But that was not in the cards for tonight. After Tavares ties it up at 5, at 18:46, Jesper Bratt with an amazing individual effort goes flying end-to-end with speed, avoids getting crushed in the offensive zone. Just misses. They just miss making him a pancake by an inch. He sidesteps, avoids the hit, cuts back towards the middle of the ice, and just launches a beautiful wrister past Samsonov, giving the Devils the 6-5 lead. That is how the game ended. And what a back and forth, just kind of shootout, pond hockey type game tonight for the Devils. It's a shame, that this game really was completely meaningless for us. And, at this point, we're better off losing, for the draft pick situation. But I like to see the team pull out wins. Let them have a little sense of some kind of good feeling down the stretch here. But it's got to be painful for these guys to play in games like this. It's got to be absolutely gutting when it becomes official. I mean, it looked grim for a while for us as far as the playoffs go, but teams in front of us kept losing and giving us chances. And honestly, a month ago, I would have thought we would have been mathematically eliminated a little bit sooner than we were, but teams kept losing, and so we were still technically in it till the bitter end, just getting eliminated the other night after losing to the Maple Leafs. But the never say die New Jersey Devils. We could make leads disappear for us. We could make the other team's lead disappear. Back and forth wild game. Devils find a way to win despite being outplayed for the most part of the game, I would say. But very sloppy one. I mean, where do we even begin? I mean, we're just a complete disaster in our defensive zone. Honestly, it's just such a fucking disaster. Like, if we don't get, before I was saying one defenseman or two, like at this point I think we need two. And I do love Brendan Smith, and I go in and out on Brendan Smith. I just don't think, just because of the guys that are definitely locked into the lineup. You have Luke, Dougie, Nemitz, and probably Ball. And honestly, I think we're going to see most of these guys back. Like I've said, Siegenthaler and Marino, I'd love to move on from. I don't know how likely it is, but the defense just needs life support, because right now we just look completely trash in our own end to give up some of these chances we do, and guys just fucking looking around. It's getting more painful to watch, but, it's almost over. 2 more games. But we go to the game stats. And again, the Devils with 20 shots on goal. You need to generate more than 20 shots on goal in the NHL to win games regularly. You could win some nights with that, but to score 6 goals on 20 shots is fucking ridiculous. Samsonov's save percentage was .700 tonight. That is god-awful. That is way worse than any of our goalies at our worst point of the season. Giving up a 6-piece on 20 shots is just unforgivable. What a horrible outing for Samsonov. But Devils with 20 shots, Maple Leafs with 32. Face-offs fairly close. Devils at 48.3% to the 51.7% for the Leafs. And the Devils, cheers to the power play, balling out tonight, going 3 for 4. Unreal stuff. 3 for 4 on the power play. Leafs go 0 for 3. And here's what, Devils with 35 hits and the Leafs with 33. So I've come to realize, on the hits stat is a little subjective, and so I've come to realize that some of the people keeping track in some arenas are a little more, what you want to call loosey-goosey maybe with crediting the hit. So I think that might be a function of that, because some arenas are notoriously, it's harder to get credit for a hit. It seems like Toronto might be one of those ones where if you breathe on somebody, they credit you with a hit. I'd like to look at some of the Maple Leafs home games to check that out, because at 35 hits seems completely inflated to me. And 33 for the Leafs, like, wow, I mean, that's a lot of hits between two teams, and the game didn't really feel that physical while I was watching it. But either way, I'll definitely take a look at that because I'm very curious. Devils with 18 block shots, Maple Leafs with 17 block shots, Devils with 13 giveaways, the Maple Leafs with 12 giveaways, Devils with 6 takeaways, and the Leafs with 8 takeaways. Fairly close across the board. Just a sloppy game. I mean, if you're and fuck you, Sheldon Keefe, by the way, head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. You did not play Ryan Reaves in the last game or tonight. You completely robbed us of one bout between Curtis McDermott and Ryan Reaves. That was one that I really would have liked to see. You screwed your fans out of it. You screwed the Devils fans out of it. And shame on you, sir. Completely shame on you. That is pathetic. And what bullshit. And I guess most Leafs fans are thinking that he's going to be scratched for the playoffs. And I think a lot of people in Toronto like him. You know, people like the tough guys in hockey. This is nothing new. This has been going on since the beginning of hockey. Ryan Reaves is a personality as well. So if you're a Maple Leaf fan watching this, let me know what you think about Ryan Reaves and whether or not he's going to play in the playoffs. It seems like he's not, but let me know what you think about that. And we go to the 3 stars of the game. The third star from the Devils.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
Number 28 with 2 goals and an assist, Timo Meier. The second star of the game from Toronto, the American superstar, tallying his 67th and 68th goals on the season, Auston Matthews. And the first star of the game from the Devils, with 2 goals and an assist, number 63, Jesper Bratt. What a game for Bratter. He's had a tremendous season for the boys. And 3-point night for Bratter. Exciting win for the Devils, despite it not meaning jack shit for us. We only got 2 left, guys. Maybe we'll see McDermott and Delorier throw down in Philly. And then we wrap up against the Isles, and that's all she wrote. Put a bow on her, and this thing is over. It's fucking over. It happened so fast. It just felt like yesterday. The season opener, I was excited. Delusions of Stanley Cup playoff runs. And we were Fitzgeralded? We were Fitzgeralded or Fitzed. We were Fitzed on the year. Flushed the season down the toilet. Going to be a long, depressing-ass summer. I'm not really into other sports. I'll casually watch something here or there, but Devils are my life. And we're going to be without for quite some time. Depressing. Let me know in the comments what you thought about the game. What did you think about Max Domi being a little piece of shit? What do you think about Timo Meier and Timo time with 2 power play goals on the night? Do we think Timo could get 30? Could he get 3 goals in the next 2 games? It's definitely possible. Anything Devils hockey, throw it out there in the comments. Love talking to you all. And that's all she wrote, folks. That's all I got for tonight. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.